Usually, when I make videos about various tanks and planes, I try to find something unique about them. An unusual feature that gives it an advantage over other vehicles that don't have it, or at least changes the gameplay experience. In the case of this aircraft, I couldn't find it. The Ki-61-I is a fighter that simply gets the job done. And it's quite effective at its job. When I shoot at other aircraft, they get destroyed. When I bomb tanks, they explode. When I pull up, I don't crash into the ground. The plane does exactly what I wanted to do. Furthermore, the results were better than when I was playing other planes that had something unique about them. In this video, I will share my experience of playing a premium version of this plane, but it's the same as Ki-61-I in general tech tree, and let's be honest, there are plenty of planes in Japanese tech tree that are more or less the same. I bought this plane a long time ago during a discount, which is a bit ironic since Gaijin gives me golden eagles for free. My intention was to use it to research the planes up to rank 4, so I could quickly skip the majority of almost identical planes, especially those that don't have a secondary load option. Since I mostly fly planes in ground realistic battles, it was important for the aircraft to be able to dogfight and carry as many bombs as possible at the same time, which left almost no choice but to use this plane. So I wasn't expecting a lot. I bought it not because I liked it, but because there was no better choice. Now, in retrospect, I can say that it was a pretty good choice. The plane is able to fight effectively in any situation against all kinds of opponents. I was even surprised how universally useful it can be. First of all, what's very useful in ground battles are secondary load options. This aircraft can carry a pair of 50, 100 or 250 kg bombs. On one hand, nothing special. Many fighters can carry a couple of bombs, but at the same time some planes can't. So this vehicle is definitely better suited for ground RB than the average fighter. Additionally, it's one of those planes that can drop the bombs separately, so you don't lose all of them in a single attack. The 250 kg bombs might sound serious, but they are not very powerful, especially considering that at plane's battle rating, most of the opponents will have good armor. The difference between 100 and 250 kg bombs was not very significant. I would still prefer the bigger bombs no matter what. With them, the chance to destroy a tank is higher, but they don't make the gameplay easier. In order for the attack to be successful, I still had to take into account the smallest details, such as which side of the aircraft the bomb that I'm about to drop is located, and get as close to the target as possible, preferably without crashing. I was able to do just a few double kills, and they were not even intentional. They were only possible because opponents were standing right next to each other. The heaviest bombs on this aircraft had to be used as accurately as you would use smaller ones. Of course, against squishy, especially open-top vehicles, bombs are way more effective. They don't have to be dropped so accurately. But considering that the plane can carry only 2 bombs, it's better to save them for the most armored opponents, while everything more squishy can be destroyed using the main armament. The plane has a couple of 20mm autocannons and a couple of high-caliber machine guns. Since their rate of fire is not so different as the amount of ammunition, I was running out of cannon shells way faster. It doesn't mean that I had to conserve ammo very strictly. I was still spraying them all over air and ground targets, but running out of 20mm rounds makes the firepower significantly less effective, and then it takes longer to destroy an opponent, which in most cases is totally fine and acceptable. Spending few more seconds holding the fire button in most cases is not a big deal, but attacking SPAAs with couple of machine guns becomes too dangerous. You don't want to fly around the vehicle that is designed to fight planes for too long, even if that's just a few extra seconds. Apart from SPAs, the amount of ammunition wasn't an issue at all. There were just a couple of cases when I ran out of all types of rounds completely and had to return to the airfield. But usually I was able to successfully fail the mission by crashing before that happened. When fighting planes, I was able to win most of the dogfights. Of course, there are planes that can outmaneuver this one, but considering the context of ground battles, most of the opponents will take something bigger and heavier to carry more secondary load rather than focusing on maneuverability. Additionally, the plane retains a fair amount of responsiveness when diving at high speeds, so you can use either boom and zoom or dogfight tactics depending on which is more beneficial in that situation. Furthermore, if you pay attention to these clips, you have noticed that most of the time when fighting planes, I was still carrying bombs. Surprisingly, they don't affect flight characteristics that much. Especially I feared that after dropping just one of the bombs, it would make the plane unbalanced since a lot of the weight would switch to one of the sides, but it ended up to be barely noticeable. Some aircraft will become difficult to control because of disbalance created by 100 kg bomb, while this plane can carry more than twice heavier weight on one side and it won't be an issue at all. I don't know if that's an old flight model or it should be like that by plane's design, but dogfighting while still carrying bombs is completely possible. And of course, if you save the bombs until there are no enemy fighters left, you will be able to plan your ground attacks more carefully, without rush, and be more successful. Ki-61-I, hey, felt quite fragile. Occasional hits from enemies would often rip off half of the wing or tail and make the plane uncontrollable or at least difficult to control. There are usual defensive features such as self-sealing fuel tanks and armored plates behind the pilot that might protect from random hits, but most of the time getting hit more seriously will do a critical damage to the plane's fuselage, making the plane unable to fly any other direction than downwards. At first glance, an ordinary plane with no unusual features turned out to be unusually effective in all situations. I would rate Ki-61-I, hey, 8. Hey! Out of 10. Separate release of 250 kg bombs while still maintaining good maneuverability makes it a great choice when you want to be prepared to fight all kinds of air and ground vehicles, which is perfect for ground realistic battles. So if you are looking for a premium plane that is good at everything, I do recommend the Ki-61-I. Hey! Tadas!